record. Welcome everybody. IOTA community Discord governance meeting on September the 13th. Small group today currently, maybe we get a couple of more people, but still we may be able to get some stuff going and some stuff done. Maybe we can. So that was basically the little plan for today. I would like to bring up first of all, get a short review again of what we basically decided last week. If there are other opinions, but there haven't been any messages or something going around about that. And then I would like to start because I think it's an important thing. If we can think about how for the treasury, yeah. So if we want to go the route of establishing a committee, how the selection process could work. I mean, I have a couple of ideas, but that can be a very controversial topic. And also the thoughts about budgets, but maybe this is, I think JD will be there on next Thursday again. I think his undersea exploration is over, and he has put a lot of thoughts in all this budget stuff already. So maybe that's something for next Thursday.
Wait for them.
Yeah. Last week we did talk about the mission statement, and then basically we came in the call to the agreement, and we did even a little vote and said here version B, a community-led committee grant-based grant program to support the Shimmer network and empower its ecosystem. That's what we want to go for. I haven't heard any objection against this since the call. Nobody messaged, nobody whatever. So I think we kind of can fix this currently and go with this, because then, like we've talked about now 4 meetings or something, sounds reasonable to continue. Same stuff with the guiding principles. We had this also 2-3 meetings already. The only thing that we added last time was the stuff about the open source code. And we added some suggestions that Rob did in the governance forum and things like that. I would also kind of go with see that this might be currently the best version that we have, and go with this. Yeah, as always, if there are ideas around that, just chat in the channel or do an addition or a comment in the document, and we can always bring this up again in a call. Yeah. Oh no, no, we're not finished yet. So maybe let me change my screen. I can I bring up the document. So let me see. Do you see the Google Doc now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I haven't really changed a lot of that stuff. Asa, you had some nice suggestion, and I added a bit of text about, or I think basically we have already some ideas about follow-up, because we had this call last week with DFire, and where they basically all told how happy they are with the way the Touchpoint and IOTA and IF basically engaged with them, and they always have been missing follow-up after they have been awarded a grant. For this, we have a section here in the for the tier for the tier 3 grants. So for the small ones, I was always thinking like, okay, I mean, if a $5,000 grant, you won't really need a follow-up process. But anything else, my basic idea was that if there's a bigger grant assessed, then what I do here, yeah? If a project is accepted, the program lead will assign one of the reviewers as a project steward. Yeah, so that basically there's one of the reviewers then responsible to do checkups with the teams from time to time. Yeah, maybe every 2 weeks or something like that. Just drop them a message, get somebody of the team into a chat to get update on how is the status, are they making progress, do they have obstacles, do they have issues, do they need any support or something like this, so that basically there is an always an eye on the project, and they will have also the possibility to tell early if they run into some problems or whatever. So I think a project like this is important, and we did hear it from the builders that they are missing this. And so this would be something that I just thought for bigger grants would definitely make sense, because they usually will also stretch over a longer time frame most of the time. So yeah, this is something.
Now, it makes
Um,
sense to me.
yeah.
I've been around this
Mm,
for years, and one thing that projects don't do, one, they're they're not they don't know how to do it, or
yeah.
they're scared to do it. Um, is to tell anybody bad news,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and so if we don't actually have someone come in and have a regular, update from them,
Yeah.
um, we'll be blindsided. Um, and it's just human nature.
Mm,
So this is a tool that you can use to
yeah.
manage that. And also, it allows us to, or would allow us to make sure that we just have a better handle
Yeah.
on all the business in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
It's.
what happens is it's like sales forecasting in a way.
Mm,
And the people in the sales pipeline, they never, you always have to prod them and really understand where they are in the sales process and how qualified things are. This is the same thing.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's you have to have a little bit of hand on this, also because in the end it's community funds, and I think definitely the community also expects something like this. You can't give out 60, 70K and then just wait a couple of months until they say, ah, sorry, it didn't work out, the money is gone, bye bye. Yeah, that's like, this will create a lot of issues and a lot of FUD and a lot of
yeah, the
unhappy
community,
community
like if all
members.
of a sudden the
Yeah.
community, if somebody in the community says, okay, we've been paying out all this money, what do we get for it? What have we seen,
Yeah.
right? Have we seen any,
Yeah. Or have
how,
you even checked what's going on there? I mean, they're handing,
yeah,
first of
right?
all,
And then
the
all of a sudden,
yeah.
yeah,
First of all, the
because
community hands out a budget to the committee. So basically, the first trust is from the community to the committee. And so the committee needs to earn this trust and prove that it's trustworthy by really,
it's
really making sure
it's a
that,
bit of a
yeah,
fiduciary responsibility, right? You
yeah,
you can't really say it is, but it is in the same way, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, you
we
can't,
expect something for what we pay for, so we
yeah.
need to keep on top of it.
Yeah, you can't
No
just
surprises,
just let
right?
you can't
Yeah.
just let things run. I mean, you don't need to call them every week and demand stuff, but yeah, I think it really depends a bit on the persons that are there. Usually, you can find a good middle ground between pushing them, yeah, and not abstracting them in their work, but you need to get you need to see progress, or you need to be really figure out also if there is no progress made, what's going on. If support can be given, that will help them, especially if it's not like, I mean, extra money is always difficult, but if maybe they really need something else, they need a core dev, they need somebody to talk to about because they run into a technical problem and they don't know how to fix it, but they're also too shy to ask or whatever. So that's, I think, is a follow up with them from time to time is can be really helpful for them. Yeah.
So would we put so
Hmm.
should the verbiage somewhere be put um, into the grant agreement, right? Is that what we're doing here? We're saying, look, you should expect to give timely updates on your milestone progress to.
Yeah. Yeah, that should potentially be something. That's anyway a thing I'm thinking about. If there is like, I mean, there will be very likely for these bigger grants, there will be a kind of an agreement process happening.
Hmm.
Very likely there will be some papers filling out. Not sure how legally binding such a thing is because I don't expect that I mean, they're not going to do a legal contract. They're not setting up a service
They're not setting
provider
up a
agreement, very likely. But still, there should be some written communication and some clear guidelines what they have to expect from the grant committee, from the reviewers, so that it's
yeah,
clear.
just
Yeah,
so that they like so that
yeah,
when you receive this money, uh, you should expect um, timely
yeah,
inquiries onto progress made towards milestones, so
yeah,
that they can't say later it says you never said anything about this.
mhm,
You know,
yeah,
it just the expectation needs to be set in there.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm just thinking about if this should be something that is, it should be a defined process for but I think about more like this can be a bit flexibly handled because potentially projects will be so different. Yeah, you will have things that will need 200K but only need 4 weeks of work because it's just like, and others they will last month, but they don't need much funding, so you cannot really make some kind of fixed assumptions here of how many milestones, how often, and but yeah, this is something that should then really the committee together with the team figure out what would be the best rhythm of milestones and checks. As far as I see it in most other programs, the teams basically propose their own milestones. Yeah? So they in the most grant applications already they have a field that says, okay, please define minimum 2 milestones and deliverables for those milestones, and then basically it's on the team that asks for to propose something. Uh, yeah, to propose something that they can deliver and that will make sense. Um, but I think the
Yeah,
reviewers,
it's
yeah,
just really a this
mm,
is a really interesting thing, right? Because in a one way, we have a lot of things to worry about here. One is the the people that are going to be reviewing the milestones. We have to figure out, hey, are they qualified to review the milestones?
mm,
Also, as the number of projects grows, how much of a burden will it how
yeah,
many updates are they going to have to be involved with? Is it even feasible, right?
yeah, yeah,
Based
yeah,
upon, right? It could actually snowball
mm,
but I think you need to like, at least on the bigger ones, you need to maybe have something there. I think just in general verbiage, it seems to me that there should be guidelines and expectations that you should be you should agree that you will have a time to time updates.
yeah,
Right. You don't
yeah,
have to mandate when they are, or and like it just give the flexibility, but also allow them make sure that they agreed to certain terms, right,
mm,
for being able to ask questions, right?
yeah,
Because you just don't want to hand out money and not be able to ask any questions because you know what,
yes,
in the world we're in,
yeah.
we need to make sure that we have some way to
Did
assess so that we can cut
yeah.
off stuff that isn't really coming to fruition. So
Did the bridge fund? I know you've been checking and talking about. Did you? I'm sure you already created some ideas around that. Um, I'll maybe check with JD if there are
yeah.
some stuff already defined. Otherwise, I'll write something down, especially like for the bigger tiers, to have like minimum 2 milestones, and for the big one, minimum 3 milestones. Also in regards to payout. Um, that I mean, for tier three, we have then here set up that 30% of the requested front grant could be paid upfront. Leaves another 70% that you could then slippage over 2 milestones
Hmm.
minimum. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to do some more
Yeah, I think I
definitions
don't
there.
know
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I think we were really focused on making sure that milestones were met.
yeah,
but I don't know that we actually refined even deeper than that.
Mm.
So, like the follow up, I think that like what we just discussed right now, I think that would need to be added to
Yeah, yeah,
what we did in the bridge
yeah.
group.
It's true. Maybe I make it I make it maybe I make a section generally
Yeah.
on milestones follow up and deliverables and stuff like this, how this could work. As I said, it's going to be difficult because there's a lot of different stuff. Yeah, if you have a YouTube video producer or you have a decentralized exchange, it's like completely different how deliverables can be defined.
Hmm.
But still, we should definitely provide some general guidelines and general requirements in this direction. I
Yeah,
think this
because if you
will help.
don't,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't, if it is a bigger scope project and you're not constantly, I'm repeating myself, but if you
Yeah.
aren't like having a meeting from time to time to get an assessment of where the project is,
Mhm.
you could be like if you could be like into it 6 months, 8 months, and really find out that these
Yes.
people really can't do what they thought they could do,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and so
You don't
you
want that. No.
no, you want to be able the ability to stop. Like they may not even be like if you give a two quarter milestone grace period, right? So
Mhm.
that they have, if you're not doing the check, um, you may find out they just got the grace period, but you still got nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really a good point. Going to put some extra stuff here. If somebody has some suggestions, please always, you know where to find the document. Just comment there or write something in the chat if you have some ideas how we could phrase this in the best way. Will always be very helpful to get some input there. Um, Regarding to all this, I think it really all and again comes to finding qualified and finding people that are willing and able to do this job for the community in the best manner. Yeah. And so as we progress all the time and basically are currently more already working on some more detailed thing here on the general process. I think we haven't yet really talked about how a selection process for committee members could look like or should look like or is envisioned. Yeah, I mean you can have every all kind of stuff is possible. Yeah, in the end, I think to make it really community driven, um, basically the community needs to vote on whom they want to have sitting in such a committee, whom they will trust their with their money in the end. And so I think the selection process is one of the most important things in the end. Might be even more important than having everything exactly defined and all the rules super crazy set. If
Hmm.
it really depends on finding good people that are willing to put some time. Of course, they get also compensated for their time, but they really want to work for the community and for the ecosystem and for the project in something like this. And yeah, how can we find these people? That's the first question, actually. Um,
Well,
Um,
maybe like a nomination period. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
oh, I was going to say sorry for the background noise, but I was thinking, do you think it would be useful for us to stipulate that, for example, we have at least one developer, one project manager type of person, one finance person, um, just so that we have a mix of people that have skills that can
yeah,
evaluate these projects.
I agree with that completely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good approach, and I think these are basically the three main skill sets that you definitely need. You need a project manager that has insights and knows how teams work, how projects are working, and how they're building, and that can evaluate, can use some tools on that. You need, of course, somebody that has basically you will need best would be a full stack dev that is really able to look into the front end, look into the back end, has some experience with smart contracts, all that stuff. That would be excellent because there will always be questions in this. And if you're not a dev and you don't know how to read code and how to do something, you only can have a little overview about things, but nothing in detail. And finance is also really, really a good point, because usually people like that are qualified. And so maybe we could really then put up such, let's not hard requirements, but um,
Hmm.
set up like a wish list of skills that would make sense for people to have. I mean, in the end, if nobody proposes themselves or nobody speaks up with such a skill set, then surely still this program will work. But I would always go for finding basically really the best people with expertise in this fields to really make the best out of this program. Yeah. Um, yeah. The question would be how to propose. I mean, we have. You could basically
You
just
could
say,
maybe have a nomination period where people not. You
yeah,
could have, okay, we're looking for, maybe write a general description of, like,
yeah,
for each category, for finance, for dev, for project management, right? And
mm,
just write a brief paragraph, or less, right, of
yeah,
just what we would want them to do, and
yeah,
then have people see if we can do a nomination period, uh, and have that put it out to general, right,
yeah,
just raw, and see if we get anything. And then if that doesn't really
mm,
give us any names, um, then we'll have to work on plan B. But
yeah.
I think we want
I mean,
community, right? We
you
need to
have,
send it
yeah,
out to the community.
you have to do. Would this be something that we should do in the governance forum or,
I think you need to
um,
do it in general. I think you could
mhm.
post it in both places, but
Yeah, I mean,
um,
no, of course you need to make it. This needs to be kind of a campaign, yeah, with Twitter and all the things, and we really need to reach all the corners of the IOTA community to find the people. But basically, where should these nominate? I mean, in the end, you would need to come down. You would need, if you want to become a committee member, I envision something like you sit down, you write down a text, why, your motivation, your skill sets. If you are really have experience in this regards, if you have really enough time to do that, what's your relation to the IOTA community, blah 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 blah, your stuff. If you
it's an
have,
interesting
yeah,
point that you have, though. I mean,
hmm
part of um, here's an interesting, like, do we need to make sure they're part of the IOTA community? What
no,
if we're
no,
trying
no,
to
no,
open the kimono, right?
yeah,
And let other people in.
yeah, that's the thing. I
Um,
I think we don't really need. Of course, it would always be nice because then, of course, they will have potentially people in the community know them already. But I wouldn't make this any
I
hard.
don't think you need to make it a
Yeah,
requirement, right?
no.
So my idea was, and we put out the
hmm
requirements about the positions we're trying to fill.
Yeah,
We put it out to the world.
yeah.
We have nominees posted, um, and let the community kind of decide. Uh, maybe it does make sense to make sure that we mandate that one of them is an IOTA-based person, or
hmm
I don't know. Just thinking off the cuff here, but
Yeah,
like, what if you're an outsider? Like, we're trying to get people outside, and we want to be inclusive, right? This
absolutely.
might be helpful.
Yeah.
Not sure.
I think yes. I mean, if the question is all the in the end it is how can our community then evaluate this information that they get? Yeah, it's always, of course, if some anon is coming
Hmm.
from outside, you have to figure out, okay, is it just a great marketing campaign that he's putting up there with
Yeah.
blah blah blah, or but in the end, it's like it's also not something. It's not guaranteed money on the table there. Yeah, so if somebody is really um, going there and promoting himself and then just for for getting 1 month of salary out of this thing, and then basically everybody recognizes that it was completely fake and hobo, then it doesn't really make sense. There's no big money grab opportunity here, because if you don't deliver quality work very quickly, the community will just basically vote you out of this whole thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not really a risk that scammers come in here. Um, yeah, so I think it would be great. Also would be really cool actually to get people from outside. I was kind of
It should,
also,
especially if what if they were on another committee before, right?
yeah,
Somewhere else, then
yeah,
they might bring some
yeah,
insights,
yeah.
right?
Especially if there's stuff happening on the technical side. I mean, thinking about devs, yeah, we we have not so much smart contract knowledgeable devs that will have the time to do that, because basically all our devs, they are currently building their own projects, and they are heavily involved in all their own work and own projects, so they will not have something like a 10 15 hours a week side
And it
time.
might be beneficial, like in from the way I'm reading the tea
Mhm.
leaves, right? Getting somebody that's more familiar with Solidity, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Might
so
be
I,
helpful, right?
yeah, I was basically thinking, actually, if we would start something like this, I mean, we would have to, like you said, we have to define requirements and make really like also, of course, set up what we would offer and make clear that it is not something fixed, because in the end, it all needs to be decided by the community. But
Yeah.
we could outreach, and first of all, I just think about the people from Bankless. Yeah, I mean, Bankless DAO is huge and great, and whenever I check in there, there's so much talent. So we could really, and I'm sure they would be open to allow something like this, because they're always happy if some of their members can find some extra stuff to do. But I think this would be like a pool of talent where potentially we could find pretty good people. Um, but in the end, also, I think our community, we have a lot of talent there. Yeah, since we started this, a couple of people approached me already and said, "Hey, I would be interested," and was kind of surprised. I said, like, "Oh, wow, cool. I just know your name, basically. I know you're in the Discord or in here and there, but I never knew that you're basically, wow, you can do this. You have this." So we have a lot of people with a lot of skills also
Cool.
in our community. So I basically think in the end, it will be a hard choice between a lot of good candidates if we start reaching out and give the community some time to propose people, or people to propose themselves, because it's an interesting thing. Yeah. And I think also this thing that it's like, I mean, the full-time position, this is something for the lead, this is something different. Because basically, if either you are currently unemployed, or you would really have to take this as an opportunity to get out of your normal 8 to 5
Hmm.
Web 2 job and jump into a crazy crypto project with a not 100% clear future, what your salary and everything is, because it depends, of course, on the Shimmer token price in the end, how how busy and how successful this whole thing will be. But this 10 hours a week for a grand reviewer, that I think that's something manageable. Yeah, if you're having a job, but you get paid for 10 hours extra per week to do some really interesting stuff. That's, I think we will get quite a lot of applications there, if we would put this out. And then the question is really how, let's say we get 35 applications for grant reviewers. How how do we narrow stuff down, basically? Yeah, that's I think that's going to be complex. And in the end, I think it would be something really, we can create a thread in the governance forum. Yeah, I mean, this is something that is publicly visible for everybody. Everybody can create an account there, and then really ask for applications there and say, okay, you have now the next 2 weeks, and then this would be really need to be like a strong outreach campaign in several communities, in Twitter, involving the IOTA Twitter account and things like this, to really get get the outreach there, but we could kind of define a time frame, 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and people have to propose themselves, and then community has to come to a selection process. Maybe in the governance forum, do some polls first and to narrow it down to, I don't know, 10 candidates or something like that. And the question is in the end, I think, if you want to do it really DLT style, you will have to make a Firefly vote out of this,
Yeah.
and let the token holders in the end decide, because it's their money and their tokens that's going to be at risk here. Let's say it like that. So this would be really a process of narrowing it down, potentially with a soft consensus thing, like you could do in the forum, and then having a couple of candidates that seem to be have to received the highest support in the community, and put them up into a vote in Firefly.
Seems the only way to do it, though. So,
See, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about this since, and you can come up with other ideas, but it's a financial decision, it's a business decision, it's a decision that the whole project and the whole community needs to do, because I mean, giving, let's say, if we really would propose, okay, they get 15% of the treasury for a year, this can be a lot of money, and so it needs a proper process, and the community needs to come to an agreement and a consensus on this thing, if they want to do it. Yeah. Another question I had was kind of the thing, like, basically, if you start such a process, still even it all depends on the voting. Let's say, so we would have something like two votes, like two proposals or two votes. One vote would be, okay, first of all, propose this committee, this grant committee structure to the community, and have the community, first of all, deciding, yes, we want to do it like this. We want to have a committee, and we want to have this kind of tier system, and yalla yalla yalla, what is all written here in the proposal. Yes, we take it. And then the second vote would then need to be, okay, yes, we want these and these persons sitting in the committee. The question is, can this also happen together in, let's say, in one big voting vision? Yeah, that you say, okay, we put two votes up to Firefly. The first of all is agreeing on establishing this committee thing for a year, and then the second vote directly at the same time, with the candidates that are basically the outcome of the selection process before. Yeah, I think it would make sense, because people always, they are lazy voting, and if we can pack more decisions in one thing, because then also they would already see, okay, look, this looks like these are great candidates there, and if these people would sit in the committee, yeah, cool, I think they will do a good job, and then we can really vote on it. Yeah, if you put just the committee vote up without any, I mean, still, if the proposal process is already going on for the candidates, then they could look up, okay, what's going on there, what potential candidates are up there. Yeah, but basically, I really would like to start this pretty soonish, yeah, because I assume this will take a bit of time until we have a final agreement and decision in the community here. So just if anybody wants to get engaged with this, and we kind of set up a structure or an idea around how such a selection process can happen, what requirements would be, let's say, like a wish list of skills that would make sense, yeah, get in contact with me or write something in the governance channel, because that's something that's like the second big task is here, really to get to a usable process that is fair, that gives a chance to everybody to take part in it. And in the end, really lays the decision in the hands of the community, who will be part of such a committee. Yeah.
What
I
about
also
having?
wonder,
Go ahead,
you
Warren.
first. You
Okay.
first.
I was going to say, what about having like a standardized form? It doesn't need to be a very long form, but something that would essentially ask, what's your experience? How extensive is it? What's your availability? Things like that to make
Yeah.
it easy for the community to compare different candidates, because some people may exclude some of that information if they're just left to freely offer it. If
Yes.
we
Yeah, I
have some
agree with that.
things
Kind
that,
of like a standard ballot, right? I mean, like for election
Yeah. Yeah.
campaigns, right?
yeah,
Where you write up a
That's a
standard
good thing. I
scenario,
think
like
you might even also want sometimes, because you say sometimes some people might leave things out. Other people might put up millions of blah 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 around how great they are. So I would even limit it to a certain amount of words or something like that, because otherwise nobody
yeah,
wants to read. Yeah, so that's a good thing. That would be maybe one of the first tasks, to create such an application form for candidates. Agree on what basically we want to know from them, and also how much they should or must or can maximum write about them. Provide some links, whatever, to their social media profiles and stuff like that. Um, yeah, that's a great first task to do. Yeah.
Maybe we should do it like we put some questions on the form and they have to answer those, like, for example, how long have you been active in the DeFi space? Have
Yeah.
you ever been member of a committee, a decentralized committee or so? If yes, provide
Yes.
links and so.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you involved in a project that is currently building on IOTA? So you already have the conflict of interest stuff openly stated there. That's cool. Should we set up a document there where we can throw first some ideas in the channel, and put this all in a document where we can create such an application form. Just thinking what would be the best. I think potentially this would then in the end up as being then just a post with the questions and the answers, as application in the governance forum. I mean, you also have Google Forms, or you have Notion forms and Typeform, but in the end, this only works if you afterwards will use it as a kind of for data analysis or stuff like that, which we don't need to do here. We just need a structurized way that is, for everybody, for every candidate the same, and that gives all the information that would potentially be important for the community to evaluate the candidates and get insights into them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe that's cool. Maybe what about something like, okay, let's say we narrow it down uh, in whatever with whatever process in the governance forum, with polls or something like that, to 8 candidates or something like this. How
and
about,
maybe we should also like do it similar to a phase one governance vote where like say,
yeah,
hey, you propose yourself and if you get 30 likes or so and you meet all the criteria that we
yeah,
set out, I think there might be some minimum criteria, like you need to, be in IOTA for 3 months or so, like, or maybe you should be already known or so. I don't know what exactly to set there, but
yeah, but
say then you are in the vote.
yeah,
It's
I think
like
we
the
will we
classic
will need,
get nominated by a few people
yeah.
and then you're in the vote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then we need very likely several rounds, or some maybe 2 rounds. Yeah, depending really how much we get. With like, okay, if you don't get enough support in round one, you're basically you're out. Yeah, and so let's say, I mean, really, if we get maybe 40, 50 applications, we need to do some narrowing down stuff. Um, and then
Yeah.
I thought about, let's say, really before stuff goes into a final vote, maybe we can think about having something like an AMA or something like this, where every candidate gets 10 minutes time or something like this to talk about or to answer some questions from the community in a community call or something like that.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah. Because then sometimes
I really like
people,
it because that
yeah,
that could be really a great event, and people
yeah,
could ask about maybe about their if they have interesting references also maybe they can talk a bit about it because
yeah,
that just shows that you aren't just putting something there so there's a text there, but that you are actually, hey, I'm doing NFT project on IOTA and I'm planning to do this and that.
yeah.
Of course, that's not something you could review yourself then,
Mhm.
but that's certainly going to show, hey, I'm interested in IOTA. I have some skill. I'm bringing some skills in, and I guess that's going to also be a huge campaign for them. Also,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't just see it as a chance for the community to kind of get a hang of the candidates, but also for the candidates to promote themselves and say, "Hey, I'm not just here for the money. I'm here to build something."
yeah. Yeah, yeah, that was my thought really to have. Also, it's like you said, it's going to create a lot of interest then, and then basically if you have directly after this, like a couple of days later, you start a Firefly vote, um, then that would make sense, yeah. So then people have chance. Okay, it's going to be recorded. They can
Oh,
rewatch it. Yeah. Somebody said something. Okay, cool.
oh, honey, give me a moment, okay?
Hey Peter, better mute yourself when you talk to your wife.
Oh, all right, just a minute.
Yes. Um, yeah, so that would be maybe two nice tasks. So we can set up a doc with the questions, requirements for the candidates that they should fill out, and then also think about a structure of how to narrow down, maybe with some timelines and um, how this whole process should look like. And maybe we'll start writing something down. If anybody has some ideas, please use the channel, especially when it comes in regards to what questions should be asked, what would make the most sense. Um, because this is something we have to get going now, and don't need to should waste a lot of time because like I said, I think this process of selection will take a couple of weeks then. And yeah, Shimmer is happening. And yeah, so we don't want to wait too long with such decisions now. And especially like in the end, if we start, we do it very late and then we try to rush, people will again complain that they didn't have enough information, they didn't know about this stuff is happening, blah blah blah. So I think the earlier we can come out with this and give the community and also the candidates enough time to think about stuff and to propose themselves and to discuss all kind of stuff, the better it is. Yeah, the longer we keep things only happening in this small group here, um, the more discussions we will have then. Yeah, and better you have the discussions now and put them out into the community, because then in the end nobody can come. Yeah, I've been 3 months away now. I want to change everything. We don't want to have stuff like this happening. Yeah. So cool. Maybe I don't know. I think I have time tomorrow morning a little bit. I'll set up a little doc. I post it in the channel here. And then everybody is free and invited to add some suggestions there. Maybe we have something already at hand for Thursday with a couple of requirements or a couple of wish lists and maybe a couple of questions for candidates. And then we go on for this. The other part of the thing, I think really JD has put a lot of great thoughts in the process of how budget and under which requirements or conditions budgets and tiers should be available, potentially changed. Because it really, nobody has an idea what Shimmer market cap will be. We don't have an idea of um, what what money will be really available in for such a committee. Is it going to be 100K or is it going to be 1.5 million? We don't know it. So it's very difficult to make such budget, to put such thoughts into the budget in the beginning. But of course, we will potentially know how much running costs there will be. And so anything that is not covering the costs and has still a nice amount of funding available for the community doesn't make sense to even start. Yeah. So if we have, I don't know, 250K running costs for this whole thing, for compensation for the reviewers and things like this, but we only have 350K in our treasury, no. Yeah. So JD has put some good thoughts together and did a really good write-up, and I'm sure he will present this in the next call when he's there. What else? Do we have any other pressing questions in regards to the treasury? Anybody want to volunteer directly and say, yeah, that's a cool task. Let me put up some thoughts into this. I'm always happy if you if you support this stuff here and if you have the time for it. Yeah. Okay, I take that as a, okay, Philo, start writing up something and we will add our comments, which actually works really good, I think. I have a little bit more time to do this stuff for that space, especially because I'm getting paid for it. So I'll sketch up something and then I hope to get some great feedback from all of you and some comments. What else? Maybe you can all have a look into the Shimmer Governance Framework channel. I've posted two things. I did some little guides for the general governance. We have proposed the general Shimmer governance framework, and I mean it is a huge document with I think the Google Doc has 39 pages or something like this, and in the governance forum it's a long scrolling and a long read. And I've digested stuff basically into two guides. One would be a guide how to participate in governance as a voter. If you just want to take part in the decision-making process. And the other guide would be, where is it? It would be a guide for people that really want to create a proposal, because that's a little bit of a complexer process. They are posted in the Shimmer Governance Framework channel in the Discord, the documents. And if you have any comments on that, any feedback, would be great. Yeah, I mean, the participation is really starting from the basics, how to create an account, where to find the proposals. Then the thing is how to reach the trust level 1, because you can only participate in the forum in votes and polls if you have reached, or basically if you have shown that you are not just a simple bot, that you have read a couple of posts, that you have spent a couple of time, 45 minutes currently, in reading things, and that people that basically we know that you have very likely read the FAQs and things like this. And then shortly explaining the 3 phases of governance and what you can do in this phase when you have reached trust level 1. And then in participation in phase 2, and then the phase 3 voting in Firefly. Yeah, but it's really just a 2-pager short explanation how you can just take part in a little bit governance. And the other one is a little bit longer already, because if you want to put up a proposal, you need to make sure again that you have reached trust level 1 and that you start in phase 1 with a phase 1 discussion, a little bit about how to make this post, basically how to create a topic in the forum, and what things that you have to be aware of, especially what the governance moderators would then do with your thing, because they're going to review it and potentially decline it if it's not following some rules. I put the links to this stuff up here. Also how you can edit stuff, how you can create a poll in the forum, because you will need this for phase 2. And what else? Then also your tasks to get your stuff moving forward. So like I said, it's like a couple of pages information, a short version of the long document that would be the detailed rule set. But with this thing, I think most of people will get along for creating a proposal without having too many questions. Yeah. But like I said, I'm only having some ideas here and always happy to get some feedback from people that we can improve this whole thing together. Okay. What else? Anybody got some comments, some questions, some topics to talk about?
Yes, I have one.
Hi,
Sorry, I jumped.
Mariana. Yeah.
I'm back from holidays. Can I have the link to the first document that you were sharing? Because when you were talking about like doing the two boats simultaneously, it just got into my mind that if the other document, that is the one that we are going to vote, has the information about how the rewards are going to be for the people that is part of the committee,
Yeah.
I do think that we shouldn't do it at the same time
Yeah.
because it's kind of like be the judge and the one being judged at the same time. So I do think that it's better to just like keep both votes separate and have
Yeah.
first the approval of the document and then the people that is going to be part of
Yeah.
the committee.
Yes, the doc is, I'll just share it again in the, I'll share it in the Shimmer Treasury channel. Um, yeah, I shared it again. And the other two docs are, like I said, in the Shimmer governance framework. And yeah, so feel free to add comments there and give some suggestions. Really happy always if I get some feedback from you all. Okay. Anybody else? Anything to mention? Nickel and Dime, I saw your question here. What do we do if there are not enough candidates for the election? Yeah, I don't know. Wait until we have enough. I I honestly think that we will get quite a lot of applications, especially if we would really go the way and do a little bit of outreach. I can really ensure you that if I would just ask out our friends at Bankless Consulting to reach out a little bit into the Bankless DAO, we will get a lot of applications from people there. I mean, they are basically that's the thing they do. They are Web3 natives. They're like Web3 freelancers. If they see there is an interesting opportunity to work together with the community on an interesting project, and grant giving is always basically it's actually a cool job, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot of fun. You get in contact with a lot of cool people with great projects. So I'm pretty sure we could get a lot of good applications from people with skills, even with experience that have done this potentially in Bankless DAO grant program already. So I would not think we need to worry to have not enough candidates. Maybe not enough super skilled, but a couple of very skilled people I'm sure we will find. And then in the end, it's the question, how does the community evaluate this, and how does the community trust those people to handle their funds in a most effective and secure way and things like this. But that's then really up to the voters to decide. Yeah. Alrighty, friends. If there's nobody else having anything to ask or to add, then I would say we call it a night. We will see us again on Thursday at 4 p.m. again, same time like today, because at 5 p.m. we will have again the Bankless session. And I highly recommend every one of you to join the Bankless DeFi education. It's going to be super great. I have seen the slides already, and I've talked with the presenter. Everything about decentralized exchanges, token swaps, liquidity, slippage, impermanent loss, all the interesting stuff that is coming to ShimmerNet with DeFi applications. And if you have not yet an idea what this is, this session will be exactly the thing that you need, because it's really made beginner friendly, and he will take a lot of time to explain the details around these automated market makers and how all this stuff works, how an order book works, and it's going to be super interesting. And so really you should join 4 o'clock for the governance call, and then directly at 5 o'clock we start with the Bankless DeFi education. That's going to be pretty interesting. All right, everybody, then. Thanks for joining. We're going to see you pretty soon again. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Paolo. See you guys.
Thanks, Philo.
Bye bye.
Bye. Take care, ciao.